Today, we are going to talk about 5 of the most dangerous DIY electrical mistakes. You know, the kind of things that could be hiding in your home right now, turning what seems like a simple weekend project into a really serious hazard.
So let me ask you something. Have you ever changed a light switch, or maybe replaced an outlet, or even just done a quick fix on a lamp cord? If you're nodding your head yes, then you're definitely going to want to pay close attention. Because while most DIY electrical jobs look perfectly fine on the surface, what's actually happening inside that wall, well, that can be a whole other story.
And that's really the key thing here. Just because the light turns on and everything seems to work doesn't mean the job is actually safe. Underneath that fresh coat of paint, a tiny little mistake can create a hidden hazard, just waiting for the right conditions to spark a fire or cause a serious shock.
This is what we call the DIY ticking bomb, hidden fire and shock risks. It's all about how these seemingly small errors can create huge, invisible dangers. All right, let's dive right into our first big mistake.
First up, we've got working on live circuits. This happens when you think the power is off, but it absolutely is not. And you know the logic people use? It often sounds reasonable, but it's dangerously wrong.
Yeah, this really lays out the big misconception, right? The common assumption is, hey, I flipped the wall switch, so everything's safe now. But the dangerous reality is that the switch usually only breaks the connection on one of the wires. The other wires in that box, they're still hot, still live, carrying full voltage.
So that leads us to a dead simple, life-saving rule. Always test before you touch. You can grab a non-contact voltage tester for just a couple of bucks. You just hold it near a wire and it'll beep or light up if there's any voltage present. It takes literally 5 seconds and it completely eliminates the guesswork. I mean, this quote says it all, doesn't it? Even professional electricians, people who have been doing this stuff for decades, they test every single time. It's not because they're paranoid, it's because they know better than to ever assume. And we should too. All right, let's move on to mistake number 2, using the wrong wire. This one creates a hidden fire risk that you might not know about until it is far, far too late. So here's the thought process, right? Hey, this thinner wire is cheaper, it's easier to bend, and when I hook it up, the light turns on. It works. But here's the problem. That wire is too thin to handle the amount of electricity being pulled through it. It basically acts like the wrong-sized fuse. It just gets hotter and hotter and hotter until the plastic insulation literally melts off and starts a fire deep inside your walls.
The good news is, the fix for this is basically just a simple matching game. Just go look at your circuit breaker, find its amp rating, it's written right there, and use the right wire for it. A 15 amp breaker always needs 14 gauge wire. A 20 amp breaker needs 12 gauge, and so on. It really is that simple to prevent a house fire. All right, next up, mistake number 3, the overstuffed electrical box. This is what happens when you try to cram way too many wires and connections into a box that's just too small for the job. It's a true recipe for disaster.
You see, an overstuffed box is a massive problem for a few key reasons. First, all those connections generate heat, and with no room to breathe, that heat just builds up and cooks the wires over time. Second, when you're forcing all those wires in, you can easily crack their plastic insulation, exposing live copper. And maybe worst of all, it puts physical stress on your connections, causing them to loosen up. And a loose connection, well, that's what creates arcing, tiny little lightning storms inside your wall that can very easily start a fire.
Okay, mistake number 4. Now this one is absolutely critical. It's called the false ground, and it creates an illusion of safety that can have fatal consequences. But first, let's take a quick second to understand what a ground wire actually does. So imagine this, right? Something goes wrong inside your toaster and a live wire touches the metal casing. The whole thing becomes electrified. Now, without a ground, the next person to touch that toaster is going to get a very serious shock. But with a proper ground, that wire gives all that dangerous electricity a safe path to travel. This creates a huge surge of current that instantly trips the breaker, shutting the power off long before anyone can get hurt. It's your safety net. And that is what brings us to the actual mistake. A false ground is when somebody takes a modern 3-pronged outlet and installs it on an old 2-wire circuit that has no ground wire. It looks safe, right? You can plug your computer into it, but it offers exactly 0 protection. It's a lie. It's a lie waiting to get someone hurt.
Look, the bottom line is this. Grounding is not a suggestion. It's not an optional feature. It is a non-negotiable safety system. It is literally the last line of defense, standing between a broken appliance and your body becoming the path for electricity to get to the ground.
So, We've gone through 4 big mistakes now, but honestly, they all point to one bigger, more fundamental idea about what makes electricity so different.
I mean, think about it this way. If you mess up a simple plumbing project, you fix a leaky faucet wrong, what happens? You get a drip, you get wet. It's annoying, it's an inconvenience. But if you mess up an electrical project, the consequences, they're just catastrophic. There are truly no small electrical mistakes.
And why is that? Well, unlike that leaky pipe, a bad electrical connection doesn't give you a little warning drip. It doesn't make a sound. A dangerous fault can just sit there, silently, inside your walls for years, just waiting.
And all of this really leads to one final question you have to ask yourself before you start any DIY electrical project. Knowing how uniquely unforgiving electricity is saving a few bucks on a simple fix really truly worth the risk?